Welcome in. Man, that was terrible. Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is All in the Charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment. You need to click the bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live. Apparently, Kevin is delusional. On this Monday, Kevin, you were delusional. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have about absolutely a... You know what? I'm going to give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a 15% chance of winning this game. I think there's an 85% probability the Eagles will win. I don't care if we win by 3 points. I don't care if we win by 30 points. Quite frankly, I'm just excited. It's Monday Night Football. The game starts at... We got two Bucs fans in the house. Kyle, come on, man. Do we have any Eagles fans in the house? Game starts at 7:15, I think. So... excited about that because I'm not a late, I can't stay up late. And the past 2 weekends I've had two later evenings, and I've suffered the next day as a result. I am not I'm just not a late night person. Hope everyone had a really nice weekend. The market's doing a lot of chippy chop, which we're going to talk about. We're also going to talk about market psychology. We're going to take a look at a couple charts that we either haven't looked at on this channel or we haven't looked at in some time, just to give a fresh perspective in terms of what my view is on things. So with that being said, let's kind of jump into things. Who here is watching the Monday Night Football fan here, or the Monday Night Football game? By the way, yeah, I had tweeted out yesterday, the Cowboys, for all the Cowboys fans here, in true Cowboys form, they showed up and dropped a giant turd on Sunday. They lost to the Arizona Cardinals. All this talk about the Dallas Cowboys 2 games into the season, it's hilarious. It's the same thing with the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, I don't know if you guys saw, they came out and they, how about those Vikings? Yeah, they suck. They come out and they win 70-20, which is very impressive. But like I was telling a buddy of mine at the gym this morning, it is a long season. I'd rather have a team like my team that is not playing up to expectations right now. They kind of look like they really needed the preseason to get their shit together. I'd rather have them look like that early in the season and sort of get things together later in the season as you have that momentum going into the playoffs. I actually think if you're a Dolphins fan, the best thing you could hope for at this point is for them to go through some mid-season struggles, because they're not going to go like 15-2. It's not happening. Go through some mid-season struggles and then start to regain momentum going into the back half of the season, because there is no way they're going to look this good. Mark my words, the Miami Dolphins are not going to look this good by the end of the season. It is a long season. You can find many teams. I can think of the New York Giants. I can think of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can think of the Cincinnati Bengals. Teams that started off real cold. Philadelphia Eagles also fall in that category. Teams that started off real cold but then got momentum going into the back half of the season and ended up either going to the Super Bowl, getting to the AFC or NFC Championship, or winning the whole damn thing. So it's a long season. This is why when everyone was talking about the Dallas Cowboys 2 weeks into the season, like, pump the brakes. We're 2 weeks in. They haven't won anything. Dallas Cowboys, let me tell you what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do this year. They're going to go 10-7 or maybe even 11-6. They're going to sneak into the playoffs, and they're going to lose in the first round. This is what the Dallas Cowboys do. Dak Prescott won't be here next year. Mike McCarthy will get fired. Guaranteed. Jerry Jones is that whole organization's a mess. Dallas Cowboys fans have nothing to talk about since 1996. Like, they literally go back in time 30 years to try to make their conversation relevant. They haven't had a real football team since the 90s, right? Since Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, and Michael Irvin, and Deion Sanders, they haven't had a team. Yeah, excited about the game tonight. I think it's one of those games that, if the Eagles play up to their potential and get their act together, I think we could win big, 31-13. But more than likely, it'll probably be a close game, maybe more like a 27-20 sort of game. But I do believe the Eagles are going to win. Let's see who we got here. Oof! Please look at CQT when you get a chance. I think it broke out. We will certainly, you know what? We'll take a look at it. Eagles will win. Kyle, you're not demonstrating a lot of confidence as a Bucks fan. Cowboys, not a Bucks fan, but a Cowboys fan. Bucks have a higher chance of beating the Eagles than the Cardinals did of beating the Cowboys yesterday. I totally agree with you. I couldn't believe that the Cardinals, I could believe that the Cardinals beat the Cowboys. Yeah, another thing to look for from the Dolphins, they're playing the Bills, I think, this coming week. Look for that to be a letdown game, especially if it's in Buffalo. Watch for the Dolphins to lose that game to the Bills. That would be my prediction on that game. I have nothing against the Dolphins. It's just, it's just fun. It's comical to see the emotions, much like the market here. The emotions get so balls deep 2 weeks into the season, people calling Super Bowl favorites and who's what teams suck, and we're literally 2-3 weeks into the season. So let's allow the season to progress forward. Guys, let's get into the charts here. There's not a whole lot to report that's going on since we last talked. I mean, honestly, the charts are just, and now we're below this line, so I'm going to paint it red. Really? I didn't do a whole lot of chart analysis this morning. I did chart a few things this morning. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw me post a few things out. I really tried to find a few things that I haven't evaluated in a while or spoke to kind of get out there on Twitter and get in people's, put on people's plate to gain a macro perspective. A macro perspective view, because the thing you have to understand, this is my mindset, okay? I'm not here to day trade with you. I'm rarely here to swing trade with you and say this is a great setup, shorter term. I'm really more of a macro perspective individual. I don't know if you can tell that by now, but really the bread and butter of what I do on this channel is I use these charts to make informed decisions more from a big picture perspective in terms of the relative health of specific charts in the market as a whole, to formulate what I'm anticipating many months out, maybe a year out, maybe, I think trying to project out more than many months or years is real hard in this market. But that is really my perspective. Are we bulls or bears in the macro perspective, right? Believe me, I will turn into a bear when it is appropriate in terms of when I think there's going to be a significant correction in markets. Which my opinion is after we do top next year. My view is we are going to see a significant correction in the market, at which point I will be a bear. At which point, if I don't short, but if I was shorting, I would be shorting at that point. But we're not there yet. And it's challenging because when you get this sort of price action going on, it really weeds people out, makes them frustrated and nervous. We're going to get into market sentiment. You're listening to headlines about some cataclysmic correction in the markets, which I don't see happening right now. And so it really weeds people out. And you got to zoom out on these charts on a macro perspective. What's up, Track? You got to zoom out on these charts on a macro perspective to stay in the game. If you, again, kind of hit on this last week, somebody mentioned something to me that made me feel compelled to share this with you, but someone shared with me that they were getting very nervous about what's going on in the stock market because they watch Fox News every day and they just watch how the Dow Jones is going down every day. I mean, if you're going to be that person, you're going to lose out at the end. You're going to make irrational, emotional decisions, right? So nothing to update here. I would just regurgitate the same commentary that I've said to you before. Daily, 12-hour. This ideally is not what we want to see. We don't want to, because right now, call a spade, right? Since we topped up here, we've had a lower high, 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 lower low here, lower low, the low here, the lows lower here. So we're getting these lower highs and lower lows. We got to reverse course, right? I can be as bullish as I want, but until these charts start to show me something, it's not. We need to be factual about these things. Until I begin to see the higher highs and higher lows come in, until we begin to recapture some of these price levels in the $27,000 to $28,000 I've spoken to on Bitcoin, on my end, there's no immediate excitement here. I don't know if it's going to be this week or next week or the following week. I'm not going to make empty promises to you. However, macro perspective, what I still feel uber confident about is the overall direction of the market and things topping out by next year, which I've spoken to plenty of times on this channel. I've sort of, I gave you those two hypotheses, right? Bitcoin topping by the end of this year versus Bitcoin topping in the first half of next year. I pretty much throw my hat in the ring and saying Bitcoin is not topping this year. I do not see that happening. Okay, at this point, it's taking a little bit longer than that hypothesis would support. Right? We don't have enough runway in October, November, and December to have a blow off top this year. It's not going to happen in my opinion. So still looking though for things to top sooner than people are expecting in 2024. So we'll just have to see when momentum begins to pick up in prices. And again, we're going to get a monthly close very shortly here in the next handful of days. I'm going to be very curious to see how the Bitcoin monthly chart closes. One monthly, by the way, for all the Digibyte fans here, anyone in the Digibyte community, one thing I did speak about on Digibyte, I have the chart up here on the monthly, did want to point this out to you guys. As boring as Digibyte has been, it's just sort of falling behind in market cap ranking. No one's paying attention to it. Did want to point out the fact that we're getting this now. It's only one price indicator, and there's no one price indicator that tells you anything. But this is historically significant that we're starting to see a MACD cross on the monthly. We haven't seen one all the way since May of 2020. Okay, that's nearly 3.5 years ago. What this is telling me is that momentum is beginning to pick up in this chart, even though it doesn't look like it. And things are starting to potentially turn around in a very bullish direction. We also have the stochastic RSI above 20, and it's moving up. So that is one chart that I'm going to be paying attention to in the fourth quarter. I want to see how the monthly closes out on Digibyte, but it's setting up for a potential large move up in the fourth quarter of this year. So we'll keep an eye on that. Other Bitcoin charts, nothing to hit on there. Don't need to hit on that. Weekly, where did we close the weekly? Bearish candlestick. This was essentially a triple bullish engulfing candle the prior week, right? We spoke about this. This candlestick here, this bad boy right here was a very bullish candlestick. Now, what I wanted to see this prior week, last week, I wanted to see some follow through, right? Wanted to see some, hey, what's up? What's up, DT? Good to see you in the house. Glad to have you here. Have your cup of joe over there. Ideally what I wanted to see this week, I wanted to see follow through on this candle. We didn't get it. That's a bearish candlestick. We got someone who's more familiar with specific candle names, and maybe this specific setup could tell you some pattern recognition based on these two candlesticks. But for me, I just like to keep things pretty stupid simple, like I always say. Just look at the formation of the candlesticks and what story is it creating. I think there's just a lot of indecision in the market right now. There's a lot of indecision that's being displayed in these charts. You have 1 week, 2 weeks ago, that printed a very bullish reversal pattern. And then last week, this is a very bearish candlestick that spells more downside, right? So this is literally telling me that price just wants to keep doing this. We need something decisive. Things are not going to remain this stagnant for this long. Now, again, I made a similar comment in this price area. Things are not going to remain this stagnant for this long. I said there's either going to be upside or downside volatility. Look what we got. Downside volatility, a huge red candle, right? Who cares what the news is? I was telling you guys for weeks that Bitcoin does not like to remain this involatile, non-volatile, right? We were going to see volatility spike, okay? We knew that was going to happen. That was going to happen because we were at historically low levels for volatility. All that means, translation, if there's historic low levels of volatility, we're expecting a big move in price. Now, that big move in price could be up or it could be down, right? In this case, back in August, we saw a huge red candlestick down. All right. Same sort of things going on right now. We're seeing a lot of indecision, a lot of chippy choppy. All right. Volatility is down. Again, what that's telling me is that we are due for some monumental form of volatility here. Now, whether that's a candlestick to the downside, okay, or whether that's a candlestick to the upside, we'll have to see. Now, if we start to hit some of those price levels that I've communicated in my prior video, either that 23.5 to 21.5 range, or if we capitulate all the way down and have sort of a flash crash all the way down to that 1917 range, it's going to be something that's swift. And again, I want to reiterate this because I think sometimes people will hear what they want to hear and they don't actually listen to what I'm specifically saying. I do not see a scenario playing out. Let me be clear about this. Not only, I've been preaching this forever, not only is this the bottom, okay, we're not going to go below there. Anything's possible, but I don't see that happening. Let me just be clear about that. But if we do get the level of correction in the next handful of weeks that I've been speaking to, that some of the charts are sort of warning us about, what I'm anticipating is some sort of sharp drop, but a quick V-shaped recovery. We're not going to linger down here and just stay down here. I don't see that. It's going to be a massive buying opportunity. News follows the charts. There could be some massive news headline about Gary Gensler becoming the president of the United States. I don't really know what the news narrative will be, but if we do get that downside volatility, it's just gonna represent a massive opportunity again. And this is sort of the perspective I think is helpful for you guys to take if you're struggling in the market right now with emotions. Again, if you're struggling at a time around here at $3,000, guys, we went up to $69,000. If you're struggling during the beer virus, whether you caught areas down here at 5, 4, or 3, or whether you bought anywhere in this area around $10,000, I mean, you're already a 3x up on your investment. You could have been a 7x up on your investment. So it's all perspective, right? When you zoom out on the charts, one last thing I'll say about this. When you zoom out on the charts, is anyone talking about this time period or this time period? No. No one is, because we're all the way up here and we went all the way up here, okay? Everyone's talking about this price level, which is substantially higher than this price level or this price level. This is what patience and education affords you. The opportunity to invest at sensical levels and watch things appreciate over time, right? No one is talking about price action down here, okay? Just like when we move forward in time, guys, I'm still live streaming. It's the year 2028, and I'm living on an island. I own an island. I have a beautiful woman and a dog, all right? I think a beautiful woman and a dog would be great, right? I own the island. I got a few homes on there, right? It's my island. I could invite you guys. You guys can come visit just for like a day. But when we're out in 2028, and I'm just going to draw an arbitrary line here, and prices are all the way up here, do you think anyone's going to be talking about this BS down here? No one's going to be talking about that because we're going to be a 5x higher from there. We're going to be up at $100,000 or wherever we're at. No one's going to be talking about $20,000 Bitcoin. This is the perspective you need to have, all right? And this is why, let me get into market sentiment now. Now, market sentiment, what I've noticed is, and again, it's like all of the media outlets take full advantage of the fact that we've had a healthy pullback on these major indices in the stock market. And now what I'm seeing in the headlines is that nasty, can we just stop using the word recession? Can we just stop using that word for a moment? The economy is the economy. There are a lot of concerning things going on in the economy. I've spoken to actually on this channel, if you go back on old videos I've done. I used to do the CBG podcast. If you go back to old videos years ago, I used to talk about all sorts of things that were creeping up in the economy that I was concerned with. There's a lot of attention being given to credit card debt right now. That's a big one. I've been speaking to that since 2019. Those levels, we actually saw a drop-off, I think, during the pandemic era, but that has increased, right? Because people, whatever mix it is, it's a mix of their spending habits. People are just bad with their finances and can't discern between what a necessity is versus a luxury. People struggle with that. But also things have just become monumentally more expensive relative to the increase in wages that you have, right? So there's a lot of people scraping and clawing to get by. They're running up to credit card debts because they can't afford that monthly expense, right? Huge concern. So there's all this stuff going on in the economy, but let's talk about the charts. Now what's happening is, and what I'm noticing, because I spend a lot of time listening to YouTube channels and trying to educate myself to become more seasoned and veteran in this market, I'm noticing a lot of economists, whatever you want to call them, come out and basically speak to the downturn that has taken place in these indices, and they're calling for a major crash. Guys, again, I want to reiterate, we're not looking at the indices today. We looked at them extensively last week on Thursday and Friday. We will revisit them this week to look at the monthly close. There is nothing in the indices at the moment, and I've spoken to key price levels, at the moment that has me overly concerned. We went up like in a straight shot from April to July, okay? We had to have a pullback. We had to have healthy consolidation now. And all the fear mongers take that opportunity as the correction is occurring to fear you out of the market. These corrections, these huge, actually Koosh on his, I listened to his, if you don't give him a follow on YouTube, look up Koosh on YouTube. He does market updates on the weekend. And I think he did he always does a nice job. But I was listening and not necessarily watching what he was doing. I do that very commonly. I actually try to set this live stream up such that you can listen and you don't need to necessarily watch every single thing that I'm doing. But I think he stated it best. To paraphrase what he said in his YouTube video, in these indices, could we see a move down? Sure, we could see a move down. We've been seeing a move down. But his expectation, which I agree with him, his expectation is the next big move is going to be a move up, right? So we might continue to get a move down, but the next big move is not a move down in his educated view and in my educated view. The next big move is not a move down. The next big move is a move up, right? So I don't know. I completely lost my train of thought there as I was talking. I was really going there for a moment, right, guys? But what you have to understand is, I know what I wanted to say. What you have to understand is that when you go back in time and you actually evaluate when we've had these large corrections in the markets, quite oftentimes what happens is there's still a lot of excitement in the market. It's not even quite oftentimes. We're either in a state of excitement or a state of euphoria before we really get that correction, right? Quite oftentimes, if you're looking at the right metrics, I always use this as an example. In September of 2019, there were some concerning things going on in the repo market. If you don't know what the repo market is, you can look it up. It's not the repo man from the WWF. Him and Crush used to have a feud. Repo Man and Crush, you guys remember that? For all my WWF fans out there. No, but the repo market, essentially liquidity was drying up behind the scenes for banks to borrow between one another. Warning sign, something is going on that we don't know about. Boom, flash crash, March 2020, we got the zombie virus that's attacking the United States, and we locked down, and everybody started doing drugs and drinking a lot, and no one exercised or took care of themselves. Awesome. But there were warning signs, right? .com bust, housing crash. No one saw these things coming. It's not like you were going on mainstream media news and everyone was saying there's a massive correction coming, right? Quite the contrary. Go back in 2018. Was anyone saying at that time up here that we were going to do this? No. In fact, you could even go to Tom Lee. Tom Lee said, strong base in Bitcoin. We're going to go to the moon. Bitcoin to $50,000, $60,000. Now, I saw a descending triangle. This is one of the calls I got correct, right? I've had bad calls and good calls. I saw a massive descending triangle and said, no, it looks like more than likely we're going to go down, and we went down, right? Great buying opportunity. Right now, the herd mentality is huge correction. Things are just going to get worse from here. The economy's going to shit. Hell in a handbasket. Watch out. No. While I agree with that general sentiment that will play out at some point, it's not going to happen at the time when you're being spoon-fed it, right? Wouldn't everyone be massively successful in investing? Wouldn't we all own our own private islands with a beautiful woman and a dog? And I know most of my audience is men, so I can say this. I think I might have one or two females that pop on time to time. Kathleen. But wouldn't all of us have a beautiful lady that we're married to? We got that wife. We got the dog. We're living on an island. We're so financially successful because we just listened to the mass media news outlets, right? Guys, that's not the way things work. You have to dig deeper. You gotta dig deeper, all right, to understand what's going on and really to understand how these cycles play out. Yeah, this is the move on the Gaussian channel that you ideally want to see. I've been asking myself the question, will this time be different? Which I've spoken to. I do believe more than likely this time will be different, just because the Gaussian channel turned green, and as soon as it went green, we went into it. I think it definitely is setting up to be a potentially different time than in times past when we've entered the Gaussian channel green and then had a massive correction. I think this time will be different, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it plays out. Other charts. Total 3, guys, tweeted this out today. What is this pattern? I'm not asking you for your opinion on how you feel about crypto right now. If I didn't even tell you what this chart was, what is this pattern? Any basic technical analyst could look at this and identify the pattern present in this chart. This is a bull pennant. It's also a falling wedge. You can have one pattern present in another, right? So this triangular formation, this is a falling wedge. But the bigger story is we have a pole and a pennant. This is a bull pennant, okay? We've broken, what I'm signaling here is we've broken out of the pennant, and we've literally, and this is, if you haven't studied charts a lot, when you break a pattern like this, you're not necessarily anticipating it just to go to the moon, okay? That's not what you're necessarily anticipating. Lost my train of thought again. It is a possibility. Wow, really struggling with the words today, guys. It is a possibility that when we break here, we could just shoot up and then have a big correction and then continue moving up. But in this case, all we've done is consolidate. We're out of the downward resistance. Now we're consolidating. And in my opinion, if I had to put this price action in words, we're weeding people out. Again, I think all of this price action is designed to transfer money in Warren Buffett's, I think it was Warren Buffett who said this, to transfer money from the impatient to the patient. Guys, don't listen to me and think to yourself CBG is just some masterful expert on all this stuff. I'm not. I'm very well versed on all this stuff, and I feel like I can do a very good job of reading this information and communicating it to you. But what I mean is, I have made plenty of mistakes in the past. Plenty of mistakes. And do you want to know what the root of most of those mistakes were? Emotion. Emotion drove the decisions that led to a mistake. If I played this market perfect or near perfection since I got in on day one in 2018, I wouldn't even be working right now. And I'm not saying that to just, that's not a, I'm not overstating that. If I was as successful as I could have been in this market, I wouldn't even be working right now. This is what I'd be doing full time. I wouldn't even have a need to work. I would have enough capital. It wouldn't even make sense to go to work, all right? But clearly I was not that successful, right? And I've learned from those mistakes, and I view my purpose on coming on this live stream is to be someone who represents authenticity, somebody who has been humbled by this market, someone who has education behind him, can properly interpret this stuff and tell you about probabilities, and give you his honest opinion on what he thinks is going on in the charts, right? In simple layman's terms, all right? Simplistic layman's terms. But in this case, all that's happened is we've broken out of a massive bull pennant, and we're consolidating, waiting for our next leg up. Look, we got a lot of areas of resistance here. By the way, this is total 3. I don't even think I said that. Total 3 is the entire cryptocurrency market taking out Ethereum and Bitcoin. You take those two big players out of the space, and you're left with all the rest of the altcoins, right? Now, this chart is going to be somewhat heavily influenced, though. If you think about it intuitively, it's going to be heavily influenced by the top 10, right? Because if you look at the market cap for these top 10, look at everything outside of Ethereum, okay? 32, 26, 25, you got $8 billion worth of market cap, right? And as you go down the ranks here, you're looking at some that aren't even a billion, 300, 200, and you work your way back to the 200, 300 market cap rankings, right? So there's a heavy weighting on these top 10. Okay, all the Cardano, Solano, Dogecoin, XRP. So what we can do is we can go to others. And what others does is this actually evaluates the cryptocurrency market chart, cryptocurrency market cap plotted on a chart, stripping out the top 10. So now we remove the ones that really heavily weight how the chart is looking, and it gives a more fair representation of your, I think, of your altcoins, because you're taking out some of the heaviest players that have an impact on that chart. Now you got a really good sense on the health of the overall altcoin market, right? That's how I would interpret this. Here, what I'm showing is, what's the purpose of this chart? Again, the purpose of this chart is to give you perspective, okay? The purpose of this chart isn't for me to tell you that everything outside of the top 10 is going exactly to $2 trillion on October 21st of 2024. If you think that's the purpose of this chart, you've completely missed the point of it. The point is to give you perspective. When we broke downward resistance back here and everybody was pessimistic, and we actually came all the way down here during our beer virus and retested this, we went up roughly 3,777%. We did like a 37x, right? Here, okay, we just broke downward resistance, right? Could we, look, anything is a possibility. Do I think we could just continue building stair steps up and have a parabolic top? Yes. Do I think that we could have some sort of a sharp rise in the fourth quarter and then roll over and do something like this and then continue moving up? Absolutely. We still got the higher lows coming in, right? Still got the higher lows. I had tweeted out in a response to somebody's post this morning that, let me see if I can quickly find this for you guys. I want to show you this. This is Stock Money Lizards. I follow him. He follows me. He does some good charts. Look at my comment here, okay? Now, look at what he's depicting here. What he's depicting is Bitcoin topping, right? This is the general movement for Bitcoin, and us topping sometime before the 2025, but towards the end of 2024. And I said to him point blank, look, I'm always very open to logical ideas. And actually, I want to like his comment. I'm always very open to logical ideas implying the timing of what I have shared is wrong. This is logical, and I agree we could end up topping late 2024. It's certainly a possibility. Both of us could be wrong. Maybe we don't top it all in 2024. Maybe the 4-year Bitcoin maxi cycles, 4-year cycle maxis are correct. Follow the yellow brick road, right? Maybe they'll end up being correct. Anything is a possibility. As long as there's logic being demonstrated in someone's analysis, I'm very open to alternative thought processes. Guys, I've said this time and time again, one of the best ways to learn in life, and this doesn't, obviously this doesn't apply to charting. It could apply to actuarial science at work. It could apply in a relationship, if you're in a relationship with someone or you're friends with someone or a family member. If someone offers you an alternative viewpoint and they're coming at it from a thoughtful standpoint, okay, why would you not want to hear that out? What, because it challenges the way you think and the way you view things? You're not going to be right about everything. If you think you're going to be right about everything, you're going to live... you're going to live in denial most of your life. There's no one out there that gets every call correct, right? It presents one of the best learning opportunities when you're open to different schools of thought. I'll give you one example outside of charting. When I was younger, I used to look at a lot of things in life, and I'm curious if anyone else feels similarly or different. Drop me a comment here. When I was younger, I used to look at most things in life that are like black and white. Like, this is wrong and right. This is wrong and right. And while I agree, there are definitely some things in life that are black and white and wrong and right, I actually think there's a lot more gray matter in life than many people think. Where you look at it and maybe there's an initial reaction to say that's wrong or right. It's a little gray. And why don't we dig a little deeper and have a conversation about what it is? It might not be black and white. There could be a lot of gray matter there. So again, it's perspective. It's listening to someone else's viewpoint and reformulating your thought process surrounding something, because your mind, your intelligence, your perception it's what we do as human beings. You've evolved, all right? So it's very, very important just generally in life. What else can we cover here? What else is going on in the market? DXY is pushing up towards that 106. It'll be curious to see if we roll over this week, because I am anticipating the dollar to roll over soon. Major indices had a small, looks like somewhat of a small comeback. NASDAQ's up 0.5%, Dow 0.1%. 0.4% for the S&P. Any major crypto moves? No. Harmony Ones keeps bouncing shy of a penny. Never like to see anything up 0.66%. I suppose that's better than 3.6s. Where's XDC? Still waiting for that 4-cent range. We're starting to push down. Guys, you want a quick update on XDC? Put this out. I've been talking about this forever. It'd be interesting to see where we ultimately land. I got this golden buy zone on XDC I shared with you in a video. We're getting super close now. Maybe I'll put an updated video out there, a TA video. Blue line is what I drew many weeks ago. And then I put in some sort of a fractal here just to show, again, just relative expectations. And I think ultimately we'll hit this golden zone. I feel pretty confident about that. And then we'll begin moving up, So we'll have to see. But so far, price is doing, again, it's just presenting a buying opportunity for you. I mean, in my opinion, you never know with certainty where things are going to go. Obviously, I'm just interpreting the charts. But I think if we come back anywhere in this golden zone, anywhere between, looks like 4.6 cents and 4 cents, a flat 4, anywhere in there is a great long-term buy opportunity. Because when you zoom out on the chart, again, beautiful chart, very beautiful chart. So, great buy opportunity. There was a question that came in. I'll take a couple questions. What questions does everyone have here? I saw CQT. I don't know what that is. Who asked this question? Oof. All right, brother. I will take a look at CQT. Eyes are starting to bug me again. CQT. I don't think we've evaluated this one before. All right, this is on Kraken. This is on the weekly. This is ticker symbol CQT. Covalent. I'm not familiar with the project. Getting a little bit of a bounce here. He said we're getting a strong move today. I mean, we are getting some strong upside. Quick observation. Oof. Quick observation. This isn't bullish yet. There's nothing about the move yet that's bullish. Why? We still got lower highs we haven't taken out, right? Even though this is a strong bounce, look, we're all the way down here, right? We haven't even taken this guy. We got to work our way all the way up, right? So you'd have to start moving above those price levels for me to get a little excited about the chart. But regardless, let's see what's going on in here. MACD looks like it might want to cross back up. RSI's, stochastic RSI, right? We're up. I mean, I've seen so many chart setups like this. For now, this is a double bottom. You can see, let me explain to you what I mean by I've seen so many chart setups like this and what I'd be looking for a setup like this. All right, you essentially have you got a lot of volatility here, but you essentially have a double bottom at 6.5 cents. Now, what do I mean by I see a lot of chart setups like this? Well, what happens is you get some sort of a strong reactionary movement down in price. Okay, wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being a falling wedge. Let's see. No, not really. Just, you got this sort of downward pressure on price, right? We're moving down. And then we get a strong bounce, right? If we went to the small, we're not going to, but if we went to the smaller time frame, wouldn't be surprised if in this area we saw some bullish divergence on the smaller time frames, like the daily and 3-day. But not surprisingly, then you go to the price indicators. You got a lot of, movement up from the RSI and the MACD. The real question is, this really doesn't mean a whole lot to me until I see follow through, right? On a chart like this that's in this, look at this downtrend that this thing is in. This is a nasty looking chart, right? The only thing that's bullish to me about this chart is we've double bottomed since late 2022. Now, I do like to see that. Besides the double bottom, this chart to me is hot garbage, all right? This is hot garbage. Flare chart is still worse, but hot garbage to me besides the double bottom. So what do I need to see in the chart for me to begin feeling convicted that we're seeing a turnaround in price? Well, you can see, first off, we broke the resistance right here. Hold this line as support, okay, Oof? If we start to get a weekly close that closes in this area, again, this was nothing but a dead cat bounce. And I would say if we re-enter and come down here, there's a strong likelihood we could continue moving downward. Now, if by the end of the week we get some sort of a bullish weekly close and we close above descending resistance, that's a good sign. That's a good sign that this could be more than a dead cat bounce, okay? Now, where are we going to face areas of resistance? And again, all about support here at 6.5 cents. That's the area I want to see hold. We don't need to overcomplicate it beyond 6.5 cents. How about resistance, right? Where are we seeing resistance come into the chart? Where we're going to face some struggles. 9.5 cents. Of course, 10 cents. You guys should know this if you've been here for a while. If I give you an area at 9.5 cents, you should automatically know. I don't need to draw it. 10 cents is psychological. I'm not going to draw 10 cents on here. You know it, all right? 10 cents is a psychological area of resistance. The other area looks like... Looks like there's an area at 10.5 cents. It's a real clean chart in terms of where to draw the resistance. We got an area at 12 cents. And we have another area right there at 13 cents. Okay. So I got all your major areas of resistance here on CQT. All right, you got 9.5, 10 psychological. You got a lot of price confluence in between 9.5 and 10.5. Then it jumps up to 12 and 13. Okay. Now, when am I going to start to feel a little bit more? When am I going to start to lean that we could see a bullish turnaround in the chart? Goes for any of these cryptos. You've seen these double bottoms. All right. Ultimately, this lower high here all the way back in February, which lines up with the rest of the market when you saw that bounce in the market. Same thing would be true about Harmony One. I can think of Harmony One off the top of my head. I'm sure the same thing exists in Digibyte. You could look at Alchemy Pay, any of these things, Alethea AI. We wicked all the way up to here. We need to start clearing this area at 24 cents, okay? And then ultimately, what I'd like to see to really start to get bullish, there's an area of price confluence right around, let me go back in the chart and identify this properly. Right there. 32, it looks like 32.8 cents. We could call it 33. Now, if we can clear 33 cents, what's going to happen is, with a candle body close, right? The story is if we clear 33 cents, I'm actually going to mark this as a dark red here, okay? This is a pivotal area of the chart, oof. This is an area of price confluence you're going to want to watch closely. What happens when we clear 33 cents? We eliminate all of this. We've passed all of this. Goodbye. See you later. We're not dealing with you anymore. All that price action is gone. Now we're all the way up here, and we just have to deal with this price action here, okay? We have cleared major resistance once we get a not a wick, a candle body close above 33 cents. That's a major area. So that's what I see in the chart, oof. Any other TA questions for me that you'd like me to evaluate? Ned, what's up, man? Good to see you on here. All is well. I'm doing very well. Thank you. Starting to get some things in order that I need to figure out. Got a list of things that I need to get done, and I'm starting to knock them out. By the way, I don't know, reminder for everyone out there, if you filed for an extension for taxes, which if you did that, you should be on top of when the filing deadline is. But that's coming up soon. I think it's like October 16th. I'm gonna finish. I planned on finishing up my taxes yesterday, but I was way too tired. So I'm gonna look to finish up my taxes either this week or next week. But just a reminder to get that done if you haven't. Got a couple questions, Kyle. I see you got Quant, huh? Yeah, we'll take a look. I saw we were down at like 88, 89 bucks. Actually, you asked first, so let me get to that question. Quant, which is not behaving how I had anticipated. Yeah, so got to ask yourself the question because it is valid, and I've pointed this out. You got, this. Let's forget about this price action for a moment. Just forget about this recent price action. Let's just scribble it out, okay? When you look at price action, we have a huge impulsive wave movement up. Then we have this huge ABC correction, and we started our first impulse, and now we've just been consolidating, and I properly interpreted that to be bullish because we were consolidating in here. The only concern I expressed when I evaluated this was, hey, it is valid. There is a descending triangle here. So if it did pan out, which is a bearish signal, a bearish pattern in the chart, if we did have a descending triangle pan out, you'd roughly measure from there to the breakout, and you could get a drop as low as like 50 bucks, right? So are we going to see this technical target play out? Could Quant go all the way down to $50? Is possible because that is a technical target based on this descending triangle. Now, if we do fall to 50 bucks, I do want to level set with everyone. Believe it or not, the chart is still bullish because when we really zoom out, we still have higher lows coming in. But the thing to focus really on is the fact that even if we came down to $50, which would really be disheartening to a lot of people who have been holding this for a while, this low came in at what, 30, 32, 40, right? So you got 40 bucks here, you got 50 bucks here, you still got a higher low coming in. I know it's not what you want to see happen. I certainly don't want to see that happen myself. But in my opinion, that would represent an awesome buying opportunity if you got it. It would still be in the realm, okay, as we're starting to get those impulsive wave movements up, which will ultimately be for a wave 3 from an Elliott wave perspective. You would essentially have, let me mark this for you. You would essentially have a 1, 2, and you'd be waiting for that third impulsive wave movement to come in. And you get your, hold on. These are just sub-wave movements of a bigger wave. So you get your 3, your 4, and then ultimately your 5. And it looks like I'm targeting way up in that area there. So, so in the grand scheme of things, there wouldn't be anything that would be bearish about it, but it certainly wasn't what I was anticipating if we do get a breakdown to 50. Now, there's no reason, by the way, that this has to break down to 50 bucks. I'm just giving you a rough technical target based on a descending triangle, right? This is a descending triangle. That is a fact in the chart, okay? So it'll be interesting to see if that does play out. Yeah, be interesting. That's really what I'm watching for in the chart, Kyle. I don't want to overcomplicate this. Can we hold these two areas of support between 70 and 83? We break 83, 84 bucks. There's a high probability we're going to come down to 70. If we break 70, I'd be watching for like the 50 level. Could be 55. I see some support there. Could be as low as 50. And this broke down. Look, all this positive momentum on the stochastic RSI, the RSI all broke down. And again, that's why you have to view these things as probabilities, right? You evaluate the chart, you come up with this probabilistic view based on what you're viewing, okay? Not emotionally, just logically. I get it. It's just the way my brain works. Like I said, I do this stuff all day. Like I am a person of numbers. So to me, I'm very analytical. It makes sense that I evaluate data and there's probabilities, right? People that are not left-brained and aren't analyzers of data don't really get this. They want certainties. They want me to come out here and they want me to tell them with certainty what's going to happen. I can't do that. But based on this breaking down, what I can tell you, Kyle, last comment, there is definitely an increased likelihood we could come all the way down to 55, 50 bucks. All right, there's certainly an increased likelihood for that. So something to keep an eye on. Rue, welcome in. Black Oil also asking about quant. All right, let's get to... We're pressing up against 50 minutes. I'm only going to take one more question, maybe two. Wait, there was another question here. Ned had asked... DT had a question too. I didn't mean to skip over you, DT. You're asking about Rio? You asking about Rios from Philly? Let's see how much time we have here because I'm starting to run up against the clock. Don't have that. Ned, if I don't get to SLP, make sure you come back tomorrow, okay? I'm just seeing what time it is, and I have to sign off soon. So let me see how much time. Oh, shit. Greg called me out. Greg, I'm glad you're reminding me. I can't remember this stuff. Greg, you asked about Bob from last week, and I didn't get to that. Shit. See, this is what happens, guys. You know, I can only go through so many of these questions, and if I don't get to them, then I start feeling bad. But I can't do a live stream for 2 hours. I really appreciate the engagement, though. But as these questions come in, I only have time for so many. That's why if you tune back for another live stream, like I told Greg, I did commit to get back to Greg. I remember that. So we're going to put him first in line. And then if I can get to the other two, I will. If I can't, you're just going to have to come back on the next live stream. I'm just not going to have, I don't have all the is this Bob? Yeah, Rue, you had asked about that again, and we haven't charted that, and you asked for TA questions, and you ran. Bro, this is who I am, all right? This is who I am. Gotta love you, CBG. I told you, I am who I am on this live stream. Like, who you see on camera is who I am in real life, okay? There is nothing but authenticity on this channel, let me tell you. Anybody who knows me can tell you that. Ooh, this looks like poop. This looks like poop, Greg. This looks like some true black oil that oozed out of the container and just, okay, let's have an analysis of this chart. There's not a whole lot to say here, Greg, honestly. Now, one thing I do like to see in this chart is we are starting to form a base here. Now, keep in mind, it's not a guarantee of anything. I'm going to tell you what to watch in the chart. We saw a huge drop in price, and we tried to form a base here, and then we just had a watershed moment, and now we're forming a base here. So let's first identify areas of support and then areas of resistance, and let's try to find some clues in the chart that will at least get either a dead cat bounce or some signs of a trend reversal to the upside, okay? And I think you know what I'll be looking for if you've followed me for quite a bit. So areas of support here, honestly, right where we're at. Right there at 308. I'm not going to read all the decimals off. You can figure that one out. But can I? No, it's going to fuck up the chart. 308 here. Okay, I want to see that level hold. If it breaks, line in the sand here is at this low here at the 307. Greg, if we break 307, I can't tell you where price is going to go because we have white space, right? So that's not a good thing when price is moving down. White space is great when we're making all-time highs. White space is bad when there's nothing to the left, all right? You're welcome, Kyle. Resistance, all right? Resistance. Clear area of resistance, like right here. The 526, okay, red's for resistance. So really kind of the story right now we did deviate from this a little bit. It's actually an area of resistance right here that we wicked through. But generally the story right now, Greg, is that we've come down here and now we're just sort of bouncing in this zone, right? We need to make a definitive move, right? price is either going to just want to roll over and create new lows, okay? I would think if we start coming down here, really good chance, Greg, really good chance if we come down to this 256 area, we're going to break it, okay? Really good chance in my opinion. But price is trying to decide, does it want to fake out and do some dead cat bounce, or do we want to definitively break out of here, right? These are your major areas of resistance. Where else? This is clearly a major area of resistance, but we have a while until we get up to there. That's a huge rate of increase to get up to there. Now, is there anything on a smaller time frame we can look at to say we could see a bounce up? Let's go to the daily. Let's look for bullish divergence in the RSI. Now, you can see, not a lot of volume here. You can see the RSI is like stair-stepping up, okay? Now we're starting to decrease. I don't really see too much, though, that's bullish there. And now you can see the MACD's turning down. This chart makes me a little nervous, I'll be honest. This chart, I wouldn't put anything besides $50 in this chart. If I had $50, Craig, honestly, I might throw $50 in this thing. But this looks pretty risky to me. I don't really see a whole lot that looks great. Got areas of resistance and support. I don't see anything on the lower time frames that gives me reason to think that we could see some sort of a strong bounce here. So that's what I see in the chart. Hope you appreciated that. Yeah, we're pushing up well past 6 o'clock. Guys, I know there's a few questions that came in. If you tune in tomorrow, I'll say the same thing that I said to Greg, and you can see I honored that. There were 2 questions. It was DT, you had a question on Rio. Okay, I'm not going to make notes of these things and keep track of them. The onus is on you to come back to the live stream. But DT, I will remember you have Rio. Ned, you asked about SLP, and I know now that Rue has asked a couple times if I've charted BDP. Those 3 questions, if you come back to the live stream tomorrow, I will put those at the top of the list. And as long as there's not a lot of volatility coming into Bitcoin, we won't even cover Bitcoin. I'll just get right into the questions if you come back. Baby Bianca, follow me on Twitter and YouTube, my friend. I'm covering cash all the time. But we can get to that tomorrow. We won't have time today because we're hopping off doing this live stream for 57 minutes. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow to answer your TA questions. Make sure to bring them. And until next time, everybody, let's all spread awareness and let's carry the education forward. Go Birds!